Welcome back to another video regarding the E-Transit. As promised, or I should say, as in breaking the promise, I did not make the 5,000 mile update. Probably gonna have to do 6. I've been driving a lot and working an ungodly amount. This one's gonna be a bit of a story time about how I came to acquire the Ford E-Transit. Like many things in the market, it takes a little bit of luck. So, what ended up happening, I had a 2019 Jeep Compass that I bought as a replacement vehicle for a vehicle my wife crashed. You know how that goes. Wife doesn't like the vehicle, she crashes it, so you buy her a new one. You know, fantastic. And we got this 2019 Jeep Compass from a Hyundai dealership, and good vehicle. Really liked it, good power, 4-wheel drive. Got the altitude trim on it. Looks really sharp. And anyway, it has this auto start stop feature. So when you come to a traffic light and you stop, the vehicle turns the engine off, and once you hit the brake or once you hit the gas, it'll re-engage the engine, turn itself back on, and away you go. So what ends up happening is the auto stop works perfectly fine. You come to a stop, the vehicle stops. Then it's time to go, the vehicle doesn't turn back on. It kind of sputters and just sits there. And you have to totally shut the vehicle down and then turn the vehicle back on for it to start. A little bit of a safety issue, right? A couple of times, you know, you're just about mid-intersection and this happens. So we took it to the Jeep dealership. It was still under manufacturer warranty at the time. It was under 36,000 miles, so it was like 35.5. So we took it there, and, you know, I get the call from them. They're like, oh yeah, hey, you just need an oil change. No, now mind you, we're only like 2 months into this ownership of this vehicle, and I'm thinking to myself, oil change? How the hell is that possible? You know, we bought it from a Hyundai dealership. I know that they're very reputable. There's no way they didn't change the oil before they gave it to me. It just didn't seem quite right. You know, so whatever. You know, fast forward again, like another 2 months, and, you know, same thing starts to happen. And I was thinking to myself, because I have in my fleet, I have 2 guys with Ram ProMaster Cities. You know, very similar engine to the Jeep Compass. One of them burns oil to the tune of about 1 quart every 1,000 miles. So my guy's constantly having to put oil in this thing due to a defect in the engine where oil will bypass one of the gaskets and end up getting exhaust out of the tailpipe. So I was like, you know what? Let me check the oil level of this thing. So upon checking it, you know, sure as shit, like, the oil level's beneath the lowest level of dipstick. So this thing's obviously doing the same thing. And there was a recall, you know, regarding it, but there's a particular specification that has to be met. So you have to burn so much oil, you know, per 1,000 miles, and for which ours didn't. But the principle of it was I wasn't a fan of having to put oil in every month just to make it to the next oil change. So I sold that vehicle at a very minor profit from when I purchased it from, you know, over the course of like 5-6 months of ownership, something like that. So at that point, I only had my Beta car from when I was a bachelor, from like 2010, and my wife wants, you know, to get something new. So, you know, I figured we would roll the equity of that vehicle into another purchase, and I was at this point already ready to go like electric or get something that was like PHEV or something along those lines, hybrid minimum, right? You know, so I'm doing research online. The wife wants like a 3-row, you know, vehicle. She really liked the standard Ford Explorer, which I like it too. You know, she was actually trying to go for the Expedition. You know, I'm not trying to get eaten out of house and home by a fuel bill. Yeah, the Explorer was something I was willing to settle on, and, you know, in doing research online, I saw that there was a PHEV version of it, and all the specifications for this Explorer PHEV were in American metrics. So I go to a Ford dealership and I'm like, hey, I'd like to order one of these. And nobody at the dealership knows what the heck I'm talking about. They're like, hybrid plug-in Explorer? We don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, it's a plug-in hybrid electric Explorer. Should be available, yeah. And the guy's like, well, I'll have to, you know, get back to you. So we leave the place. So we drive from that Ford dealership to another Ford dealership, because I was like, there's no way this guy just has no idea what I'm talking about. And we go to the next Ford dealership, and I got this, you know, younger girl. She's like, well, we don't have that kind of that Explorer. That's not available here. And I pull it up, and I'm like, wait a second. Son of a gun, she's right. This is a European vehicle. but for some reason it was all the units of measurement were in American metrics. It was listed with mpg, it was listed with horsepower, it wasn't listed with like kilowatts or kilometers per hour or kilometers in general, that kind of thing. So I felt super stupid, and I was like, oh my god, I just wasted everybody's time, you know, trying to get a vehicle that doesn't exist. So I started talking about the Mach-E and whatnot, and we got on the topic of the E-Transit, and she's like, you know, if you're interested in the E-Transit, we actually have 2 in transit right now, and they're not claimed yet. Like, they're the first ones we've been allocated. I'm like, really? So at that time, I drove the Transit 250, and gas at this point is like, I don't know, like $4 a gallon. So I was like, huh. Like, I kind of am interested in that, but I saw the range specifications and whatnot. You know, before going there, I was already looking into this, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to be suitable for my needs. You know, 116 miles of range for the equivalent van. I don't see how that's going to work unless I charge it like every day, midway on the route. Which I was getting okay with the idea. Anyway, she said, you know, if you want it, you can just let me know, give a $500 deposit, and we'll let you know when it comes in. So I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. I ran the numbers, and it made economic sense to get the vehicle because based on dollars and cents, it was going to save me quite a bit of money. And we'll get into the actual numbers of that at some point in a later video when I actually do the cost analysis on this thing, so you can see what I'm saving. This van is like, it pays me to own it. But at that point, I decided to do it. So I called her up. I gave the $500 deposit. I stopped it in person, put it down, and instantly felt regret that entire night and the next day, and just kept questioning myself whether I was making the right decision. And the more and more I mulled it over, I became more comfortable with the decision overall, because with sparse vehicles like this, or any electric vehicle in general, you purchase it, you can usually flip it for a profit even if you don't like it. So let's say, for instance, I absolutely hated this van. You know, I paid, I think it was either $53 or $55 for this, I forget. But I could have turned it around and sold it for a $3,000 to $5,000 profit, you know, right off the bat. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna give this a try. I'm gonna go through with it. I was initially going to trade my other van in, but I was like, you know what? The risk of me having to sell this new electric Transit is too high. There's no way I'm getting rid of the gas Transit until such time that I know for certain that this E-Transit is going to work out. And I still have the gas Transit because winter hasn't happened here yet, and I'm still waiting to see what kind of efficiency drop I'm going to get. You know, so far so good. This thing's been doing me very well, as I have mentioned in prior videos with the ranges on this thing. So the lady told me, you know, it's going to be delivered sometime next month. It's like mid-May or something like that right now. And it's mid to late April when this happened. And I'm like, all right, so I got some time, you know, to get everything ready for installation and whatnot. And, you know, I'll call my call an electrician, get some 1450 outlets installed to accommodate the charging. And then no more than like 9 days later, it's like May the 5th, you know, I get the phone call, hey, your Transit's here. I'm like, crap, that's pretty soon. I think, actually, they don't have one right here now. I was actually passing the Ford dealership on the right, and they had a E-Transit sitting out here the other day. I don't know if that's a demo vehicle or not, but, you know, that's totally off topic. And I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna do this. And, you know, sure enough, I was able to pick it up the next day. So with something like this, it's going to require either persistence, or you just have to be in the right place at the right time, which is what I was. You know, I was there to get my wife a vehicle, and I ended up getting myself a vehicle. How selfish of me. And to this day, we still don't have a vehicle for the wife. I'm waiting on something else, which I'll talk about once that actually ends up happening. But yeah, so that's it. Didn't go there to buy a Transit, but certainly came home with one. So until next time.